In the world of Bleach, power is not measured only by the ability to fight, but by the spirit's capacity to confront itself. And here, Zangetsu appears not as a mere weapon for Ichigo, but as an inner voice, a counter-consciousness, a force that constantly tries to prevent him from collapsing under the weight of his fractured identity. The man in the black robe is not just a manifestation of a Shinigami or a side of power. He is the question that never stops echoing within a human being the moment they begin to doubt their own truth. In the darkness with no name, where the boundaries between a human and their shadow dissolve, Zangetsu does not appear as just another character in Bleach, but as an idea, a mirror. An existential test that imposes a single question on anyone who faces it. Do you truly know who you are? Or are you only what you were told you are? From the very first moment Ichigo meets Zangetsu, it is not training that begins, but an intellectual and spiritual conflict. Because Zangetsu does not merely teach techniques, he dismantles the old concept of the self in order to rebuild it from nothing. He does not say, "Be stronger." He says, "First, know who is actually fighting inside you." The philosophy Zangetsu carries is not a philosophy of external victory, but of internal survival. He represents the deepest part of the psyche that refuses to let a person lie to themselves. That is why he sometimes appears as an ally, sometimes as a threat, and sometimes as an inescapable shadow. Because, simply put, he is not separate from Ichigo. He is one of his possible selves. At its core, Zangetsu reflects an ancient philosophical idea that a human being is not a single pure entity, but a continuous conflict of multiple wills within. Strength does not lie in absolute control, but in understanding that conflict without denial. For this reason, every confrontation between Ichigo and Zangetsu is not training. It is a gradual confession of truth. What makes Zangetsu essential to the structure of the story is that he represents the stage before spiritual maturity. Before Ichigo could become the master of himself, he had to pass through a phase of complete uncertainty about everything he believed in. Zangetsu is the hand that pulls that uncertainty to the surface instead of hiding it. He does not provide answers. He destroys the illusion that answers are easy or even ready-made. From a deeper perspective, Zangetsu redefines the relationship between a human and their power. Normally, power is seen as an external tool used to achieve goals. But in Bleach, especially through Zangetsu, power becomes a conscious entity. It has opinions, it has resistance, it even has limits. And that in itself is a heavy philosophical idea. Power is not entirely yours. It is something you must negotiate with. Then we reach the most important turning point, when Ichigo begins to discover that Zangetsu is not one being as he believed. Here, the simple structure of the inner mentor collapses and transforms into layers of identity. What once seemed like a single voice becomes multiplicity. What once felt like protection becomes a complete redefinition of the self. As if the story is saying, you never truly knew yourself. You were only hearing one version of what is inside you. This transformation does not only change Ichigo, it changes the meaning of conflict in the entire narrative. The enemy is no longer only outside the body, but inside the definition of the self. And here, battle becomes deeper than combat. It becomes a confrontation between what you believe you are and what you truly are. At his core, Zangetsu is a rejection of simplicity. He rejects the idea that a human can be reduced to a single name, role, or identity. That is why he is always dressed in black. not as a symbol of evil, but as a symbol of an unreadable depth. Black here is not emptiness. It is overwhelming fullness that cannot be decoded. In the end, Zangetsu is not a character to be understood, but an experience to be endured. He is that voice that emerges when all external noise disappears, forcing a person to ask questions they cannot escape from. Who am I? Who is fighting when I fight? And am I the one controlling my power? Or is my power the one revealing me? Perhaps the greatest thing Zangetsu contributed to Bleach is not power itself, but a philosophical shock. That the greatest battle in a human's life is not against the world, but against the unknown version of themselves. If you like this type of analysis, don't forget to like and subscribe.